Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Parker, and the title of my doctoral capstone project is Enhancing Self-Determination and Health and Wellness Routines in Adolescents with Down Syndrome, a pilot study. Here's the outline that will guide today's presentation. And with that, I would just like to jump in. I want to sincerely thank the people here for their commitment to making my dream of carrying out this project a reality. I would specifically like to thank Jenny Popova for her constant support and encouragement. I could not have done this project without her. I also would like to thank Jennifer and Grace, the full-time staff at Gigi's Playhouse, for their time and support each and every day. I would like to thank Paula for her commitment to the capstone process. And finally, I'd like to thank all of the wonderful participants at Gigi's Playhouse who made each and every day at the Playhouse incredibly fun and enjoyable. I performed my capstone experience at Gigi's Playhouse Chicago, an organization that has grown very near and dear to my heart. The mission at Gigi's Playhouse is to change the way the world views Down syndrome and to send a global message of acceptance for all. It offers a wide variety of free, educational, therapeutic-based, and career development programs for this population. Though I did not work directly under an OT, the bulk of volunteers at the Playhouse and on the board are OTs. I worked very directly with Jenny and also had the opportunity to collaborate with several speech therapists and PTs that worked with many of the participants that I did to gain strategies and expertise. Through my research prior to beginning the capstone experience, it became apparent to me that the Down syndrome population faced many barriers to physical and mental health. This population experiences physiological and cognitive differences that limit their engagement in health and wellness practices, specifically leading to decreased nutritional intake, decreased engagement and access to physical activities, and decreased education surrounding these practices. Individuals with Down syndrome also experience higher instances of mental health conditions than their typically developing peers. It is clear, however, that emotional intelligence and social relationships are key strengths for this population. By integrating these strengths and implementing them into programming surrounded around health and wellness, we can have increased impact on this population. It is evident that there is substantial need for increased research on the feasibility of education for this population on the importance and practicality of implementing health and wellness principles. The theories that guided my project include the model of human occupation and self-determination theory. According to self-determination theory, humans have three basic needs that must be met to achieve optimal functioning. These include competence, autonomy, and relatedness. These aspects guided the development of my curriculum with the ultimate goal of building self-determination in hopes that it would lead to increased self-efficacy as a means to adopt improved health and wellness principles. The model of human occupation as displayed here integrates volition, habituation, and performance capacity to subsequently increase participation, performance, and skills, which ultimately impact occupation. Individuals with Down syndrome are highly motivated by their interests and have increased levels of engagement when their efforts are directed towards their passions. My hope was that I could implement volitional aspects and adaptations to roles, routines, and habits to ultimately promote increased participation and performance in various occupations related to health and wellness. My hope was to create a replicable programming curriculum which empowers people with Down syndrome with the self-determination, tools, and education to increase health and wellness roles, routines, and habits. Below, you can see just a few of the many aspects that I integrated into the programming to facilitate progress towards these goals. There were two research questions that guided my project. The first was, what is the feasibility of an 8-week health and wellness education-based intervention with a large group and 2-on-1 participant design for individuals 14 and up with Down syndrome? The second question was, what are the outcomes of an 8-week health and wellness pilot within the 3 domains, physical, mental, and social health, on habits, routines, occupational performance, and self-determination patterns? The methods for this study were of a quasi-experimental pre- and post-test design. I recruited 11 participants with Down syndrome, ages 14 and up. The procedures for the study included recruitment of participants, pre-test packets prior to beginning the study, an 8-week pilot program, and following the 8 weeks, the same assessments were administered to the participants. Just to provide a little more insight on the curriculum I designed, it was an 8-week health and wellness-based curriculum with threads of mindfulness, self-determination, and social participation woven throughout. It included weekly 1-hour-long group sessions and weekly 1-hour-long 2-on-1 sessions with 2 participants and the researcher. A large aspect of the program included parent and caregiver education through the form of email and handouts. The curriculum was broken into 3 domains, which I will dive further into on the next slide. Each domain was then further broken into roles, routines, and habits to align with the OTPF4 language. This visual provides an overview of the weekly curriculum. The introductory week included the consent process, completion of the various assessments, and discussion of goals and expectations of the group. We then dove into physical well-being, which was subdivided into week 1, which consisted of mindful movement, week 2, mindful eating, and week 3 was mindful rest. We then shifted into mental well-being domain. The 3 weeks consisted of mindfulness, gratitude practices, and finally, affirmation practices. The final 2 weeks, we covered social well-being, including boundaries and active listening, and self-care practices. The very last week of the program, we celebrated by taking a social outing to the Lincoln Park Zoo. The concluding program was to complete assessments and discuss the curriculum and the progress that the participants made towards their goals. I used a wide variety of assessments to track feasibility and outcomes of the program. I began by administering a background survey to get a sense of the ages, genders, and racial backgrounds and current health and wellness engagement prior to beginning the program. I also administered the mindfulness self-care scale to measure frequency of self-care behavior from a variety of domains. Another assessment administered was the OSA short form, in which participants rated their competence and value in various occupations. The role checklist was administered to obtain a sense of participation and satisfaction levels on various roles an individual engages in. Participants also completed the WHO-5 well-being scale to get a sense of current mental well-being. The final survey collected was administered to participants and caregivers to reflect on the program and the impact it had on participants. Of note, all of the surveys were adapted with visuals to increase understanding and validity of results for the Down syndrome population, seeing as visual skills tend to be a major strength for this population. And you can see an example of one of those adapted assessments here in the right-hand corner. To analyze the data, a quasi-experimental pre-test, post-test design was utilized. Descriptive stats were run using SPSS software, and a paired t-test was run in which statistical significance was set based on p is less than or equal to 0.05. 11 people with Down syndrome participated in the study. The ages ranged from 16 to 51 years old and included 7 females and 4 males. The majority of participants were of Hispanic background, and diverse range was represented. 8 out of 11 participants attended more than 75% of the group sessions, and 10 out of 11 participants attended more than 75% of 2-on-1 sessions, reflecting a fairly good attendance level for the program. Generally speaking, both participants and caregivers were satisfied with the health and wellness program. As you can see, the caregivers reported higher levels of satisfaction compared to the participants, though both believed the program was successful and would recommend it to others. Here's one of the quotes I took from a caregiver's report on the satisfaction survey, which conveys the impact of the program on her participant. She stated, "I think this program has been one of the most productive and enriching classes my sister has attended at this organization. She has grown in confidence, knowledge, and assertiveness. As far as results, the role checklist revealed statistically significant increase in role satisfaction. While significance was not reached in any other assessments, the data did, however, suggest increased averages in competency and value scores in individual items on the OSA short form. The WHO-5 suggested decreased scores in overall well-being, likely due to the increased awareness through the participation of the program. The mindfulness self-care scale approached but did not reach statistical significance to suggest an increase in mindful self-care practices. I broke down the individual domains of the mindfulness self-care scale to get a sense of which specific items may have most drastically been affected, which is further displayed here. The results of the study were consistent with the hypothesis that the implementation of an 8-week health and wellness program was a feasible intervention strategy to improve roles, routines, and habits as they relate to health and wellness principles, as well as increasing levels of self determination. The research suggested that promoting self determination through individualized goal and decision making leads to increased self efficacy, improving health and wellness principles, specifically the adherence to exercise routines, and promoting greater satisfaction of basic psychological needs. While there is some evidence collected to suggest this trend, the only statistical significance revealed was changes in the satisfaction levels in existing roles. This was likely due to the small sample size in the study. Caregiver and participant satisfaction with the program, however, suggested improved habits and routines, as well as increased knowledge and self determination principles. The clinical bottom line from this study is that OT should utilize the existing curriculum to implement programming in various settings, perhaps through increasing the sample size and implementing increased parent report. It is evident that fostering increased self determination practices may have impacts on engagement in health and wellness principles. This pilot study lays the foundation for future projects, and the implementation of similar programming at various community based sites could have positive impacts on health. This is a growing area of need for individuals with IDD, and this program offers a feasible curriculum to address these areas and to foster growth and improvement over time. Here are all of my references. Thank you so much for listening.